It's time for the Phil Ferguson Show, only on Secular Media Network.
Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Phil Ferguson, and you are listening to the Phil Ferguson Show. This is show number 155, and we're now in February of 2016. At the time that you're hearing this, it's just about Groundhog Day, or shortly thereafter if you didn't catch it right away. And hopefully that little giant rat has predicted the end of winter. I'm looking forward to spring, so hopefully we've got that coming. I've got a lot of things on my mind today. One of them is about people that rip people off. And quite honestly, I think some of these fuckers should be taken out and hung or shot or whatever. My mom is now over 80 years old, and she keeps getting tricked. People calling her up and wanting to do things for her and help her. And a few months ago, she had someone that called her up from Microsoft, and I have my air quotes up. I know it's not Microsoft. She didn't know it wasn't Microsoft, and they called help her out for free to put Windows 10 on her computer, and they did. And as soon as I found out, I went and checked her computer and ran multiple virus checking softwares and programs and did everything I could find what was wrong. Thankfully, she only uses her computer for solitaire and checking email, so I wasn't too worried. Went along fine for probably about 4 or 5 months, and just the other day, she called me and she said my computer stopped working, and about 10 minutes after it stopped working, she got a phone call again from Microsoft wanting to help her fix her computer. They even offered to send someone to her house to fix her computer, and thankfully her computer is about 5-6 years old, so we were due for an upgrade anyway, and I just told her to unplug all the wires and that no one is going to come and help her. It's not, that's how the world works. I don't know if it ever worked that way, but it sure as fuck doesn't work that way now. So I went and took her a new computer and got her all set up, and I have the old one, and I'm contemplating trying to do a complete system restore and seeing if it's valuable, but it is a few years old, so maybe I'll just take it to a computer supply store or a repair store and let them fix it and sell it to somebody who needs a computer for $100 or $200. But anyway, these people are awful, and as I'm there helping her, it turns out that she had tried to call Comcast to turn off her internet, even though she wasn't going to use it for just about a week. And while she was in that process, someone else called her and got her to give up her credit card number. And so we had to call a credit card company and get her card canceled and claim those charges. They had 3 different charges showed up as fraud. And these people really, really bother me, really upset me. People, everyone, myself, you, the listener, work very hard to make money. For someone to come along and trick you and cheat you out of it, it offends my sense of morality and fairness. And anyway, so that kind of leads into the topic for today. It was kind of inspired by one of the many emails I've gotten the last couple of weeks asking about stock recommendations and stock pickers and analysts. And there's an endless number of sources of people giving advice about what to buy and when to buy it. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is, first of all, if someone contacts you with stock picking advice and it's free, just keep that in mind that it's worth every penny. It's free. You have no idea who they're telling what to, what other recommendations they've made, and what other information they've given out. And so one of the stories that I've heard in the past, and I looked on the internet, I couldn't find where I first heard this, so this is one of those rare moments where you can't actually source it. But if all of you go and look, maybe you can find it. I'll give you a similar thing you can look at that explains this really well. But if a stock broker wants to find new customers, what they can do is call a whole bunch of people. And for my scenario, I'm going to use 32 people, and you'll understand why here in a minute. They call 32 people, and they tell them about a stock. And the broker makes a prediction. The stock is either going to go up or go down. I mean, it could stay the same price, but, It's very unlikely to stay the exact same price. Odds are it's going to move either pennies or dollars up or down in a defined period of time. Let's call it a week. And they call 32 people, and they tell 16 of them that the stock is going up, and they tell 16 of them that the stock is going down, and they do this for free. You don't have to invest anything. You don't have to give them any information. You don't have to tell them about your wealth, your assets. By the way, they already know. It's in a database. We live in the modern world of information. They know you have money. That's why they called you. And what happens is if they're wrong, they call back knowing that they're wrong, but they want to give you another one for free. But if you're right, they call back and say, see, I was right. Now let me give you another one. And now these 16 people, they ask them to invest $100, just a trivial amount as far as the broker's concerned. Hopefully, if you're doing well in your life, it's a trivial amount for you to invest. And they want you just to, show a gesture of good faith or a token of $100. And they tell the 16 people that were right the first time about a new stock that they have information on. And you've probably figured this out already. 8 of them, they're going to tell the stock's going to go up. 8, they tell it goes down. So now 8 people look at this advisor and go, wow, he's been right twice. And if the stock recommender, the stock picker, the broker is really lucky, the stock moved considerably, and this person made some money on the $100 trade. Nothing of real value, but they say, I've been right 2 times in a row. Let's try another time. Now let's try $2,000. Again, if you've got a couple $100,000, it's still not going to affect your portfolio particularly one way or the other, but it's going to be a test. And they have 8 people now, and they tell 4 of them it's going up, and they tell 4 of them it's going down. And for the 4 that they're right about, they've now been right 3 times. And they go back to those 4 people and they say, okay, now I've proven myself to you 3 picks in a row. The odds of that just by random chance are infinitesimally small, they'll tell you. Of course, it's 1/2, 1/4, 1/4, 1/8, something like that. But you don't know about all the other people that they give the wrong information to. You just know the information that you have been given and that they have been right 3 times in a row. Now comes the payoff for this person that calls you. They want you to invest $20,000, $40,000, $50,000, $100,000. And it's not a $7 trade. They're going to get a couple percentages or several hundreds of dollars. Whether the stock goes up or down from there, not their concern. You're buying, you're selling. And even if it goes badly for you, they can say, well, I can't get it right every time. I had 3 in a row, and now you're kind of hooked. So this is a game one can play. And I do know there is a video, I think it's Darren Brown. If you've not heard of him, he does great magic tricks, very well thought out. And one of my favorites is called The System. So if you go on YouTube and you look for Darren Brown, Derren, Brown, of course, The System, it's about horse racing. And with the financial backing of the show, what they did is they contacted hundreds and hundreds of people, and they predicted winners of horse races. And they kept going down to smaller and smaller numbers of people, and they finally had someone that they had been right for 6 or 7 times in a row. And because this person, this Mark, this person in the show had seen that they'd been right 6 times in a row, they were able to convince her to take her entire life savings and bet it one more time on a horse race. And then the horse lost because the odds were small. But Darren Brown magically knew which horse was going to win and had that ticket and gave this person the winning ticket after all. But, of course, the whole thing is staged, but it shows you the emotion from the perspective of the person who has seen what appears to be the correct horse picking several times in a row, and they start to believe in the picker. Stocks can be the same kind of way, not necessarily, but it's one of those things. I happened to pull up from the federal government, FINRA, which is the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, and they have an article about stock pickers, analysts, and point out a lot of times that analysts are employed by companies that have a financial benefit one way or the other in giving you specific recommendation. A lot of brokers, a lot of companies that give you financial advice, they will give you investment recommendations based on what their own analysts have said. They, of course, don't go to a third party analyst. They use their own analyst because they have the real experts in their company. And it turns out that the long-term historical data that I've been able to find is that analysts are about 50-50 when predicting 1, 3, or 6 months. Predicting a longer period of time, they actually tend to do better. The funny thing is that most analysts give buy recommendations, and in the long run, stocks go up. So their performance is slightly under what you would get if you just had an average mutual fund, which of course is under what you would get if you had an index fund. So all of this again points to buy and hold, invest for the long term, use index funds, keep your taxes and expenses low. Brokerage advisors often, like I said, they have this conflict of interest that the firm that they work for might actually be doing the initial public offering for a stock. So are they going to recommend that you buy the stock that they are the only ones selling? I would like to say, of course, but maybe someone doesn't. They're not going to work there very long. I don't know. But there's all kinds of hidden conflicts in that that you may or may not be able to see and know about. Also found a nice write-up on this topic at Investopedia, a great resource for information, so you can go check that out. And found this website called Tasty Trade. Never heard of them before, but they had some neat graphs and charts showing you the probability of advisors being right. And, this is where it shows in the short term, they're about 50-50, which is horrible considering most stocks tend to go up, but it also depends on the time frame that you pick. So I don't think that these are very reliable. The other place that I found it was really nice, Barron's, the financial magazine. They actually do a year-to-year report, an update of their own picks. And some years, their picks end up doing quite well. And one could easily pick one of those out and say, wow, if you looked at their picks from year X or year Y, they do really nice. And I went through a few years and found 2013. And yes, I'm picking this because it's particularly bad. Their recommendations from 2013 so far have had a performance of minus 4%. So through 13, 14, and 15, whereas the market or the benchmark that they used went up 13%. So they lost 4 when doing nothing and just kind of holding the market would have made you 13% per year. So it's a very interesting way to look at it. Sometimes they beat the market, sometimes they don't. But when you start to aggregate this stuff again, they just don't beat the markets. They just don't beat the indexes. Last week's show, I think it was, we talked about non-traded REITs, real estate investment trusts. I have received quite a few emails. I've talked to a few of these people, and a few of them I haven't yet, that have also told me terrible stories about these non-traded REITs. And one of the things you should look for from your year-end statements, you probably got them right after the first of the year, if there's things listed on your statement that do not have a symbol, and by that I mean a 3 to 5 letter designation that you can go search for it and find out the price or what it's trading for, you should be suspect of what you own. And a few of these people have 20, 25, 35% commissions for reinvesting the products. I'm still not sure what they pay on the front end. Maybe it's a fair trade, but liquidity on these might be an issue, and it can be very difficult to sell them. So check out your statements from the end of the year and see if you have things listed that do not have a 3 to 5 letter symbol. I mean, sometimes a stock has one letter like A or T or something like that, but if there's no designation, you might want to call and ask what the symbol for this investment is. And if you still can't find that out, let me know. You can contact me via email, Phil@Polaris Financial Planning. I'll see if we can give you some time and figure out what you're looking at and see if we can help you out. It may be perfectly fine. I don't know. It's just something that it concerns me. The other thing that I've had, because I've been talking about year-end performance, it's that time of year, the S&P 500 made 1.4%, positive 1.4% for 15. Not a lot of money, but it's positive. The total stock market did not do as well, which includes mid-cap and small-cap. It's positive 0.4%, but still positive. And I have been contacted by many people that have portfolios that are down 5, 6, 8, even 10% last year. And the question you have to ask is,